In this video, we're going to walk through the steps of the Monolithic Replica workflow within D3Denture. This is an extremely powerful and necessary component of the total digital denture workflow. However, its purpose can sometimes be intuitively difficult to understand upfront. A monolithic replica is a term we have coined for a removable denture that has an exact duplicate of a prior or existing denture, yet a brand new base from a wash impression from that same prior or existing denture. In effect, digitally rebasing a denture. It still is monolithic, one piece, so the intended purpose for this would be during the try-in phases of dentures, making sure the fit and the suction is adequate, and doing your occlusal adjustments, and then rescanning that in, creating a new try-in, checking that, and then being able to go from there. Another unintended indication that I feel like people may use for this would be in emergency situations. If a patient had a broken denture or something like that, in a pinch, you needed to create something monolithic to get them by temporarily. And this would work then, but the intended workflow is for doing try-ins when you're fabricating that final complete denture. So we'll get to it. On the upper right, we'll select D3Denture. We'll go down to Monolithic Replica. And we will need to put a case in here, and we'll just say Monolithic Replica Test. And I already have my default save location set, so I don't need to choose that. But if I wanted to, I could click on this button here, and it would allow me to select where I want these files to be saved. But I'm happy with this. I always like to create a new directory for all these files to be contained in. Just makes it a little bit easier for organization. I'm going to hit Create Next, or Create Case. And then it gives me a case ID. This is a unique identifier for this particular case, and it aids in case tracking and management. And hit Next. I need to import my models here. And this could be done with one denture at a time, upper or lower, or if you're creating a set of full dentures, you could do them both at the same time in the same workflow. I'm going to pick some models I had here, and we'll just do one. We'll do I believe this is the maxillary. So we're close to getting our final denture here. We had a little bit issue with the fit, so we did a wash impression, and this is where we're at now, and we'd like to maintain that tooth setup, but we do want that base to reflect this new impression. So we're going to say that the upper model is edentulous. Let's make sure this is the right model. It is. It says upper wash. It's edentulous. It's an impression. If I were to not have impression, just model, that other option would not show up. So if it's edentulous and impression, both are selected, you get another option that says, is it a denture? And this one is. On the lower, we say it's a dentate and model. Okay, we've characterized our models, we've imported them, and we're going to hit Next. We're going to orient. And this workflow knows that we have the teeth already in this scan, so it's going to ask us for the molars. So I'm going to go right molar here, left molar here, incisal edge to orient, and midline. And commit. That looks good. I'm going to hit Next. It says mark the outline of the maxillary wash impression. So we'll start there. And I'm just going to go right around where this impression was taken. Kind of trimming it up like digitally a little bit. And I can come back and move some of these points around, so I will do that at the end, but I'm just going to get the base outline here first. And I can also just kind of click around. Sometimes that's easier. And close that loop. I do want a little bit more here, and maybe right there. I think everything else is looking pretty good. Maybe I'll raise this up just a little bit. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to hit next and click interior region, which is essentially the impression. We take a look around, and that looks great. I'm going to hit next. It's doing a little bit of work here in the background. It's going to automatically add land and generate a base based off this impression, which will help us in a following step here. That looks good. I'm going to do mark outline of maxillary denture teeth, the next step in order there. And I'm supposed to just draw around the teeth here, so I'll do that. And just continue on here. And I don't think the scalloping is necessary at all, but I'm just doing it here. And get back to the closed loop, finish it off, hit next. Looks like there may be an area here that I need to double check. We do have some additional tools up here where I can clear loose endpoints and connect them. Sometimes that will just work, and it did. Resolved any little errors there that may have been present, like a small gap in this margin. Fixed it for me. I'm going to select the middle, or where the teeth are. And that looks great. I'm going to hit next. Okay, so now we have the teeth segmented, we have the impression based, and we're starting to get a feel for what this thing's going to look like. Last thing here is outline the exterior border of the denture. This is very reminiscent to a classical like dental school experience, getting down into the vestibule. Make sure that's down there. And in the off chance you had an underextended impression, this land does exist to help give you just a little bit more room if you need it. Let me get rid of some of these points. There we go. Come down here. almost done. Close that loop. Things look good. I'm going to hit next to see. Yep. And select the interior. Take one more final look at that. And for this is just fine. I'm going to hit next. So we should have all the pieces we need to get this fabricated. We have the intaglio surface, we have the denture teeth, and we just need to merge them. So I'm going to hit next. There's a lot of calculations going on during this step too. It's creating a solid appliance here that can be 3D printed from 2 different scans. So it does take a little bit of time doing the calculations here. After it's done, we will be presented with a way to kind of tidy up the denture though. Smooth out some areas that we needed to, do a little bit of sculpting if we need to. But this is the initial result here. And we have the teeth as they were. We have the intaglio surface from the impression. Looks like a nice merge here, but you can see there's that shelf, which is not something that we desire. And then also a little bit odd looking festooning here. So I'm going to do Sculpt Transition Zone. I won't spend too much time on this, but I'll just kind of show you that you can get in here and just smooth things out a little bit. There's more tools than smooth. I can do, let's see here, gingival roll if I wanted to, and that adds a little bit of extrudedness to the area instead of smoothing. So I'm going to go back to smooth again. Smooth that up. And I can also, add characterization in here too, if I wanted to, but I'm going to smooth that back out again. I think importantly right here is the big one. I'm going to bring that radius up a little bit. Just kind of. What's nice is this smooth, you can see the teeth and the impression are grayed out. That means that any smoothing I do is not going to affect any of those 2 things, which is the most important part of this appliance. So I can come up here and safely just go like this, and it's not going to affect anything. Really smoothing out good, getting rid of that shelf. Okay, and we're just kind of going through this just to show an example, but you can spend as much time as you want on this. So that's good. I'm going to say commit. That's looking pretty good for what we had to begin with, and we'll go next. And we are done. We have our monolithic replica. This will be good for another try-in, do your adjustments, maybe take another wash if you need to, and you could finalize the case from there. Or, in a pinch, you have not a duplicate denture, but a replicate denture. So those are the kind of the 2 ways we could see this being used at the moment. But the most important point here is that this lays the groundwork for the obvious next step, which is adding carded tooth libraries and the ability to move the teeth around and get your initial setup going within D3Denture as well. So that's going to be the immediate next update, the next step that we do, and making a split file from here. Those are the 2 big things. So instead of it being monolithic, upcoming in the next immediate release, we'll have a split file available, and that will take care of a lot of the indications for digital dentistry or digital dentures. So thank you very much.